inFamous may well be the PS3's most anticipated game of this year. There is a huge amount of work being put into the hype from the developers for this title. The game is developed by Sucker Punch, the same folks that gave us the cartoony stealth series Sly Cooper. Don't expect the same type of game in their newest title though. inFamous and Sly Cooper are pretty much polar opposites. inFamous stars Cole, an innocent person who, after a terrible explosion that decimates a large portion of Empire City, is knocked unconscious for 2 weeks and wakes up with fantastic electricity-based superpowers. When he wakes up, he realizes that the city has been quarantined by the government because of a strange infection that has broken out. The law is ineffective and gangs now roam the streets. Where the story goes from there is mostly up to the player, as you can either decide to protect the citizens with your powers or condemn them. Keep to the good path and your powers will remain in the form of blue lightning, but go dark and they'll turn into a menacing dark red. With the story remaining intentionally open-ended, how the tale will turn out is entirely up to the player. The best comparison one could make for the gameplay is to Crackdown. As you progress, your powers will heighten in strength, and while it may not get quite as deliciously ridiculous as Crackdown, you are still able to grab a hold of anything in the environment, jump great distances, and the shooting is over the shoulder. Movement is taken one step further though, with a move that lets you glide and another that lets you slide along any electrical lines such as train tracks and power lines. We haven't really gotten many samples of the voice acting, but the sound effects seem to be on par at the moment, and the visuals are excellently lit and capture that criminal wasteland feel that I hope it's going for. Expect to see Prototype on the PlayStation 3 come May 26th for North America, June for Europe, and June 11th for Australia.
3 weeks ago, someone released a lethal virus in Penn Station. I woke up in the morgue. Now I hunt, I kill, I consume, I become. I'm gonna find out who did this to me, and I'm gonna make them pay.
That's him!
inFamous isn't the only open-world superhero game gunning for top spot this year. Arriving a few weeks after is Prototype, another open-world game featuring a superhero who can either be good or evil and doesn't know what the hell is going on. It's developed by Radical Entertainment, the same folks who gave us the Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. Prototype was actually intended to be released late last year, but the developers delayed the game to make some improvements. It was also originally going to include online co-op, but the developers had to scratch that also. The story of Prototype follows Alex Mercer, who wakes up with no memory and mysterious powers. Instead of the fictional city of Empire City, Prototype is set in the video game go-to locale, New York. A slimy, plant-like infection is slowly taking over the city and its inhabitants, and, surprise surprise, the city's been quarantined by the government. The infection is what gave Alex his powers, but that's basically all we know. The rest will have to be discovered as the story progresses. At first glance, Prototype's gameplay may look very similar to that of inFamous, but only after looking closer will the player start to notice the differences. For one, your powers are not based around electricity, they're based around shape-shifting. You can still run fast, jump long distances, and glide, but in Prototype you can also absorb anyone's essence and take his shape and memories. This can be used to sneak past soldiers, or you can just turn your limbs into useful tools like a shield and claws.
The main thing we want the player to feel is the feeling that they're the ultimate badass. Alex Mercer is one of the most powerful video game characters ever created. It's a revenge quest, so we want players to feel like they're getting to the heart of the conspiracy that made them the way they are, and making those responsible pay.
The graphics in Prototype are admittedly a bit below average, but it's still got a few months before release, so change could happen. The story does seem interesting, and the voice acting has been decent from what we've seen. Keep an eye out for Prototype on the 360, PC, and PS3 come June 9th for North America and the 12th for Europe. So here we have two undeniably similar games coming out within a few weeks of each other. Some may be anxious to see which one will sell more copies, but that's not really fair due to inFamous releasing on only one system, while Prototype releases on 3. The interesting numbers will come when we see which games sold more copies on the PlayStation 3. One thing's for sure, these are two games that most gamers will not want to miss.